um, important system, and it does work in the background. When we do the movement, we feel like it's only the motor cortex, but this system is very important. So if we have to think of limbic system, it can be divided into three important parts. One is the cortical part. Which part of the cortex is involved here? Then there are certain very important subcortical parts which I have listed and I'll go through, and all these parts are connected, so we need tracts. So cortical part, subcortical part, and the tracts which are connecting, so that constitute the limbic system. So the most importantly, what does limbic system, what does limbus mean? It's in the center, okay? And if you look at, so that's the limbic system. So we have got the cingulate gyrus, okay? This cingulate gyrus will follow into the parahippocampal gyrus, okay? So that's the part, and then the front, which is called the subcallosal gyrus, and the uncus is the tip of the temporal lobe. So cingulate gyrus, parahippocampal gyrus, uncus, prefrontal, and the orbitofrontal. So this part is as well, and obviously insular cortex and olfactory cortex. So olfactory system and the insular cortex, which is deep here. So these are the cortical part which are involved in limbic system. So it includes the cingulate gyrus, parahippocampal gyrus. So cingulate gyrus will eventually continue with the parahippocampal gyrus. Uncus is the tip, then the prefrontal and orbital, subcallosal gyrus, insular cortex, olfactory cortex. So these are the cortical part. Subcortical part, obviously thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus and hypothalamus. Oh, I haven't put hypothalamus here. So thalamus, hypothalamus, including the mammillary body, hippocampus, amygdala, habenular, and septal area. I'll just go through the picture and it will clear. And there are tracks. I'll go through the tracks. So first one, so that's the cortical part. So we have got the cingulate gyrus, which is going through to the parahippocampal gyrus and uncus, subcallosal gyrus. So these are the, and the olfactory cortex. So these are the cortical part. When it comes to the subcortical, obviously thalamus, hypothalamus, including the mammillary body, which is the part, amygdala, hippocampus. Okay. Again, another same cingulate gyrus, isthmus, parahippocampus. Inside is the hippocampus and the olfactory bulb, and you have got the mammillary body and so that's the another image, quite similar. For the subcortical, obviously hippocampus is there, which is inside the parahippocampal gyrus, and amygdala is an important part, as is the uncus. So this is the inferior view of the limbic cortex. So as you can see, this is the optic bulb, optic tract, and they will relay into the. So what is the cortex for the olfactory system? Which part of the cortex do they relay? What is the primary cortex? So they relay both in the frontal lobe as well as the temporal lobe. Temporal lobe is the uncus and the entorhinal cortex. So that's where the olfactory system will will relay. And one of the function you must have heard about Pepys circuit or PEP circuit, so which is responsible for storing the recent memory to long-term memory. But before I go to that, what are the tracks? The tracks which is connecting the limbic lobe, the prefrontal cortex with the hippocampus is called cingulum. The part between the hippocampus to the mammillary body is fornix. The part between the mammillary body and the anterior thalamus is the mammillothalamic tract. The part between the amygdala and the septal area is the stria terminalis, and part between the septal area and the habenular nucleus is stria medullaris. And anterior thalamic nucleus and the prefrontal cortex is through thalamic radiation. So you don't have to remember, but remember these are the communicating tracts which are connecting different part of the cortical and subcortical structure of the limbic system. So that's how they talk to each other. That's the most important thing. I don't expect you to remember any of this tract. But as long as you remember that this is a large area situated on the medial side, they have got cortical structure as well as subcortical, which include hypothalamus, thalamus, amygdala. That's the key thing you need to know. So the Pepys circuit is mainly for consolidating the recent memory to long-term memory. So it comes from the hippocampus, it goes to the mammillary body through fornix, from mammillary body to mammillothalamic tract to anterior thalamus. So from the hypothalamus is goes to thalamus and then back to the cortex, this is the circuit which goes on. Okay, and that's responsible for consolidating the recent memory to long-term memory. Now, what are the functions of limbic system? One is the recent memory to long-term memory. That's the memory part. And if any of that Pepys circuit is broken, they can have anterograde amnesia. They will have problem in remembering the new event and storing is a long-term memory. Emotional behavior, so feelings and expression, emotional reaction to situation, anger, fear, sadness, aggression, sexual behavior, sexual drive, social behavior, and individual's personality, all are part of the limbic system. And that's why we see a lot of patients with brain injury, brain damage. They get all these symptoms which we think that they are just being naughty or something, but it's all the part of the system. This damage, it can give all these problems. And obviously olfaction problem because of the uncus and the amygdala. So there is a mnemonics: feeding, forgetting, fighting, family, and fornicating. So all these are functions of the limbic system. Okay, and this is the circuit. You should have the overview. So I've simplified. So cortical structure, subcortical structure, and the tracks connecting it. Cortical structure includes cingulate gyrus, subcallosal, it's going to parahippocampal gyrus, uncus. Okay, and then insular cortex obviously, and the olfactory cortex. So that's the cortical structure. Subcortical structure would be thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, and then so thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampal formation, and then the tracks which are connecting that include limbic system. Okay, and these are the important function you should be aware of. So any part which is damaged can give different sort of combinations.